from ClarkWoods.com. This is Horribly Off Topic with Chris and Steve, episode number 29.
What are you talking about?
It's number 29.
No, we're 30 now.
We're not. No, I'm still 29.
Just accept it, and we're fucking 30.
The 30s suck, man.
Yeah, well, we're in it.
That's the thing is I thought the 20s sucked, and people who were in their 20s sucked. I think
they do suck.
They do suck. But people in their 20s think that their 20s suck. I think that my 30s suck. Everyone that's older than me tells me that I'm going to get to my 40s and I'm going to think, you know what, 40s.
The new 30?
So that's what they tell me. They tell me
Cougar Town?
Cougar Town. But I'm married, so can't go after the Cougars.
Or the young women either.
Or the mountain lions. Right? Or cougars and mountain lions are like the same thing, right?
I don't know.
I think they're the same thing.
Maybe.
Would you go for a cougar?
Depends on the woman, I suppose.
Okay. I think it's
I don't know if I find a person, physically attractive and feel like I can have a connection with some sort of person, if they're older.
Age ain't nothing but a number.
Yeah. Right. And if they are slightly older than me, then yeah, I'm okay with that. But more attractive to younger women.
You want to say that again?
I didn't say anything.
Didn't say anything? All right. Speaking of nothing but a number, that is the title of the play, right now, it's the title of the play that when this episode comes out, I will be pitching at the Players Ring. I say right now because I'm considering different titles because I pitched it last year under this title, an earlier draft of it, and it got rejected. So there's part of me that's like superstitious, and I kind of want a different title this time around, which might still get rejected.
What is it about?
It's about, this is the thing. I have to pitch it, and I'm not sure that I can...
Well, pitch it to the radio audience at the same time. I pitch it to the radio audience.
It's about a 39-year-old woman who she's a young widow.
Is she actually 39?
She is actually 39.
Okay.
She's a young widow. Her who's having fun now that she
getting some dick.
her husband left her in a relatively good financial position. She can kind of do whatever she wants, and yet she's kind of feeling the pressure of getting a little bit older.
But not much wiser.
Her daughter, who she had young, is having a baby of her own. So this 39-year-old is about to become
a grandma.
And she's not, for many reasons, not all that excited about that. Although she is excited, she's torn. She's happy, but if you're 39, do you really want to be a grandma? I'm guessing not. So
we could call it 39-year-old Nana. You should have brought it up last week so you could ask people to email you suggestions.
I could have. Well, I have some other suggestions, but 39-year-old Nana, if that wasn't already something that I'd seen on YouJizz, then
Oh. We're not talking about your whole episode again, please.
No, not another episode about that. No, we're done. I'm sorry. I actually kind of want to apologize to the listeners for that digression last week, and just for my general treating the podcast as if it was a place for me as if it were a therapy ssession.
Well, it's fine if that is.
I mean, it is fine to a certain extent, but I think people come for some yucks.
Yeah, well, every once in a while we can burn the candle at both ends.
Okay,
but that analogy actually does not apply. I feel like I'm doing that, but I slept all day.
You slept all day. Well, how do you feel like that, even though you slept all day?
Well, I went to this thing yesterday. It was in Somerville at the Aeronaut Brewing Company.
Okay. Anything that takes place at a brewing company is already getting off to a good start.
Yep. So it was called BitFest 2. I guess this was the second time they were doing it. Either that or they just named it that because it was Breaking 2.
Ah, right. So they could add the...
but it's the electronic Boogaloo.
Electronic.
Not electric Boogaloo.
Gotcha.
Hey, when I was younger, this is just an interesting... Well, I wouldn't go and say interesting.
You could say interesting. It's all right. I won't judge you.
I always thought it was the ELO was Electrolyte Orchestra.
So they drank a lot of Gatorade.
Yes.
Who knows? You know, they're getting up there in years now. I suppose if they're touring, that they probably drink some Gatorade. I heard.
Yes.
You got to tell me because you have drunk more alcohol in your life than me.
I probably did yesterday.
Than I have. Is it true that if you drink alcohol mixed with like a Gatorade, that because of the electrolytes, that like the electrolytes bond with the alcohol or something and it gets you drunker faster?
I don't know if I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Okay.
I did claim to be a doctor last week.
You did. Before we go any further, then, I want the listeners out there, if you know, to email us at hot@clarkwoods.com.
Yes.
And tell me if it's true. I heard that rumor once that if you if what you mixed your liquor with was like a Gatorade, that the electrolytes in the Gatorade would get you drunk faster.
I mean, it does make sense because your body would probably want to absorb the Gatorade more quickly because it has all the right ingredients to hydrate you. I'm doing a commercial for Gatorade.
I don't think they're going to sponsor us.
Yeah, just like everybody else.
Like everybody else. But you can sponsor us, listeners, by going to the show notes for the episode, which are clarkwoods.com/hot/30. Yeah, I know. Or in your podcast thing, find the little link that says give $$ to Hot, because you can be our sponsors.
Yes. So I went to this thing.
Do you need a sponsor? Do you drink enough that you're going to need to go to AA and need like a sponsor?
Well, you know.
Do you need a sponsor at AA?
What?
You need is AA where you need a sponsor?
I think you do get a sponsor. Like, so basically, if you
so Gatorade could sponsor you at AA.
What?
I don't know.
You're confusing me. I'm tired. So I went to this thing.
You went to this thing.
We got there right at noon, and there was like a dog outside, so we petted the dog before we went in. Mm-hmm. It was so cold. I was like, somebody take that dog inside.
It's not.
I don't think you can have a dog inside a brewery, though.
No, but like, why is your dog outside in the elements? I don't know.
He was tied up to a railing. He was cute, though.
Poor dog.
Sad. Oh yeah. So enough of sad dogs.
Okay.
And this was just basically, it was like a video game thing. They had a bunch of old systems hooked up. Like, you know, I can't think of one that they didn't have. They had a Neo Geo. They had a Virtual Boy, which no one was playing.
Okay.
Because no one ever wanted to play the Virtual Boy when it first came out. And even ironic hipsters don't want to play the Virtual Boy.
You know you're in trouble when ironic hipsters don't want to play with you.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a Virtual Boy. There was what else? There's a Saturn. There's whatever. I'm just listing fucking video game systems, but there was a whole shitload.
There were a lot of them.
We spent a lot of time playing Mario Kart for the N64.
Yeah,
and I realized that I'm not as good as I thought I was, or at least I've gotten rusty in my years, and I'm not as good as I used to be because I was doing bad. But I was still beating people, but I wasn't doing as good as I used to do.
Right. Yeah.
And it was funny. Like there was some guy that kept on betting on me to win.
Well, that's gotta feel a little bit good.
Yeah, he was just like, well, him and his buddy were just like betting $1 each or whatever. I'm just like, I'm betting on this kid.
Some big time gambling going on.
Yeah, I made that guy probably a good $5.
Who's your player of choice when you're doing Mario Kart?
In that one, I use Peach.
Okay, yeah, that's that makes sense.
Yeah, that was back in the day when we would play it at Paul's house. Paul would always use Wario.
I got a question for you about Wario.
Oh God, again?
No, not about who Wario is, but go on.
And then Dan would use Toad, and I know Yucko would always use Yoshi.
Okay.
And then Will would
did Yucko use Yoshi because it started with a Y? I mean, was that a thing in his life?
I don't know. Okay. He was really good. Yucko was the best out of all of us, which kind of sucks.
Isn't he the best out of everyone at everything?
Yeah, probably.
That fucking guy.
Yeah. So, and then Will would always, he didn't play as much, but he was always the Donkey Kong.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And he would scream. He probably doesn't want me to say this.
Okay, don't say it then.
Yeah, whatever. He would scream ape rape when he would hit you with a shell.
Okay. Grape ape rape. No. Grape Ape is a different character.
Grape Ape was a different thing.
Yeah, Grape
that was like one of those those Hanna-Barbera.
He was, yeah. So you're playing video games at a brewery. I
Yes,
imagine
and
you
I
were
was
drinking.
drinking. I was drinking beers, and then so we started off with it was a microbrew, and they brew it there and all that stuff, and they got the sign up and tried a couple different ones, which were about 5%, which is about what normal beer is.
Yeah, normal
So
beer.
like a Budweiser or is probably about 4.9, I think, or something like that.
Right.
Or somewhere in between 4 and 5.
Gotcha.
And I think lighter beers are slightly less.
Yeah.
But yeah, these were like 5 plus, and then we moved on to the one that was 10% alcohol and went. So I think I had about 7 of those, which if it's got twice the amount of alcohol in it, then it's like drinking 14.
There you go.
So I kind of lost my way, and I don't remember a lot of the evening. But like I got a lot of street passes on my DS. That was cool. I had a whole slew of them when I woke up at 2:00 this morning and threw up.
No, it's a street pass on a DS.
Like when you have it, like you're walking around with it.
Yeah.
Like if someone else has theirs and walking around with it, if you go by near them, you basically give a street pass, and then you can play games with the people that you.
And so it's all. Do you have to actively do something on the DS, or just the DS knows it's in proximity to?
When I took it out of my pocket, there's I'll pick it up and show you.
I'm intrigued by people who have fun and have devices.
See
purely
right
for
there.
having fun.
See that little that turns green.
Okay.
When you have gotten a street pass.
Gotcha.
So yeah. What else? We played some Street Fighter, some Mortal Kombat.
Always good.
They had Bomberman set up. I don't know which one it was, but
yeah.
Oh, and they had Typing of the Dead set up.
I don't know if I know Typing of the Dead.
There's a game for Sega put out called House of the Dead.
Okay.
And it's like one of those arcade shooters where you just have the big plastic gun and you're shooting zombies and whatnot. Typing of the Dead is like that.
It's writers just typing themselves till they die.
No. It's basically like it looks really lame. It's like these people that have like a Dreamcast strapped to their back, and they have like a keyboard in front of them.
Yeah.
And so when zombies are coming at you, like earlier stages, it's like smaller words, but you have to type those words, and that's how you kill the zombie.
Okay.
And if there's like a couple of pots sitting, you could normally have shot them, and like get a bonus
you just type
prize.
the word pot.
There's like a letter next to it, and you type that, and you open up the pot, and then you get like an extra life or whatever.
What was the name of the Sega CD game with it was kind of Dana Plato. You remember Dana Plato from
Night Trap.
Night Trap. I had to rewrite it. I made a Night Trap reference in a story once, and I did a whole bunch of research on it, and then I realized that Night Trap, according to the timeline of my story, Night Trap didn't come out until a year after the story took place, so I had to take it out. I was
Did you use another game?
No, I think.
Do you think people really would have been like, hey?
I would have noticed.
Continuity guy.
Continuity, I would have noticed.
Be like, hey, that game didn't come up for another blah, blah, blah.
That is, a lot of podcasts that I listen to, that is exactly the type of person who listens and then emails. So if I put my stories out there, I am at, well, nobody reeds stories, so I probably don't have to worry about it.
You're like a regular George McFly.
Stories about. Oh, I was going to try to do a George McFly impression, and I stopped. You're welcome.
Hey, get your goddamn hands off her. Do you really think I should swear?
Yes.
Yes, George, swear, goddamn it.
What a great fucking movie.
Yeah. So,
all right, so you lose track. Do you remember the last game that you remember before you
I think I sort of remember about before we were about to leave, and then and then when I woke up this morning, I thought, like, where's my coat? Did I get my coat? I don't remember wearing my coat. Did I leave it there? Or why would I have left my coat there?
Right. Yeah, it was pretty cold.
So it was
yesterday. It was over there.
Yeah. So my coat was there, and then like my wallet is my credit card's still in there. Yes. And then money, and then some other crap.
Hey, you were saying before we started, you took out money.
Yes.
Yes.
But I didn't spend
it. And it's there.
It.
It's there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I was like, what? Usually you're like, oh, what happened to all my money? And instead, I was like,
Be even funnier if you somehow had like an extra 40 sitting in there.
yeah,
You know,
like if I made money.
What did I do? Then the question is, you were that blacked out. What did you do to make the $40?
I hope I didn't go down on any dudes.
Speaking of going down, don't you have a card there?
Okay, so
that
there's
had the word "goes down" on it.
yes.
And I just
okay. I opened them up, so I definitely ruined the integrity of this product, so I couldn't sell it on the eBay.
yeah.
But I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle second series cards, like
Made by Topps?
Topps,
Of
like
course,
the baseball card folks.
Yep.
And I think this was around
Is there
the
a
time.
copyright date on that? Like, what year did that come out?
I think it was 89.
89.
Hold on. What the fuck? Where is it?
Oh, I had to ask it. I asked a difficult question.
I can't find it. Oh, here we are. 1990.
1990. All right. All right.
So, yeah, there was a trivia contest, which I don't remember. I don't remember the questions, but I apparently got them all right.
That's when you know you're doing well.
And I was like, "Oh, I won!" And then I won a pack of these cards.
Now, here's the key question.
What's that?
All trading cards back in the day came with a stick of gum inside.
Oh God!
Now, where is the stick of gum, Steve?
I probably threw it up sometime last night.
Which means that you actually ingested it first, right?
Yes, I think that see when I remember eating that, so maybe I like
Oh, God.
maybe it was just like it had some it became what's that date rape drug? Rohypnol. Maybe it had Rohypnol on it, or
All
just
right.
after 25 years of aging, the
It
gum
turned into.
Topps gum turns into Rohypnol, and so I just blacked out.
There's a bunch of guys out there right now who are ordering that shit off eBay. They're like, "Hey, this is cheaper. Just get a bunch of."
Why are all of our listeners rapists?
No, I mean, there's a. Oh, that's. Yeah. No, I can't. I can't get out of that one.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of guys just in general doing
Oh, okay.
that.
Well,
but
they would have to be listening.
They would
to
have
us
to be listening
to know this
yeah.
information.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
once the word gets out, so listeners, we need you to do us a favor and not tell anybody that you know about that part of the episode.
Yeah,
'cause
normally I'm a big free speech guy, and you say it if you want to, but we encourage you not.
Yeah, we don't want the secret getting out about the date rape gum.
Yes.
It's in.
Really, kind of like, why is there a half dissolved stick of gum in my drink? I'm not drinking this.
God. But what was the one? Can I look at them?
Yeah, sure.
All right, there was a one. So you tell me a little bit more about the rabbit. I had forgotten about Usabi Yojimbo being
Usagi.
Usabi Yojimbo.
Usagi.
Usabi.
Usagi is Japanese for rabbit.
Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah.
Being part of that cartoon. But there was a whole bunch of characters back there in the day, all animal-based characters, that I think the Ninja Turtles started that trend. They got huge, and everybody...
And then there was like Street Sharks and...
Yeah, and there was radioactive hamsters. I don't know if that was a parody one.
I think that was like a
actual...
Weird Al song.
No, but there actually was, like, I think I have in my like boxes and boxes of comics a radioactive hamsters comic book that had nothing to do with Weird Al, I think.
But then there was Biker Mice from Mars.
Yeah. I mean, there was a whole bunch of them. And
early 90s, like, trying to ride on the coattails of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That was what everything in the early 90s, something happened in comics and everybody, I mean, it's all industry, but in comics it was really ridiculous, which is why I have,
the
10,
TMNT
12.
comic wasn't really that long either. Like,
No.
the actual original comic.
I don't know why I'm
Laird.
showing this to you.
Yeah,
I'm showing it to the microphone. Down goes Donatello.
Down goes Frasier.
Down goes Donatello. Do you think Donatello is the kind of guy that does go down?
I don't know.
Who? I mean, April, I guess. Who would Donatello go down on? I guess he could go down on the other turtles too. I was just thinking if it was a heterosexual relationship, there aren't any girl turtles, and
I think there was
at
some point, and I forget.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Send us an email. Tell us who the girl turtles were. That's like Transformers. Where are the girl Transformers? Is RC in the Transformers the movie, the only Transformers movie anyone out there should ever see. But
that also has Weird Al in it.
It does have Weird Al in it. I listen to, and I forget the similar podcast you told us about early on, but I listened to this great show that people had been telling me to listen to for years called The Flophouse. I listened to an episode of it.
How Did This Get Made is the one.
Yes, that's the one you talked about.
Yeah.
So I finally listened to The Flophouse. I ran out of podcasts this week, and so I went and I was like, what are some of the ones people keep telling me about? I need them for this last commute of the week. And so I downloaded The Flophouse, and they were talking about the latest Transformers movie. And it was both hilarious and cathartic, because I hate those Transformers movies, the Michael Bay ones, because they're ruining my childhood. But this episode of The Flophouse was fantastic. They made fun of it in great detail, and it was only an hour long. A lot of the podcasts I listen to are getting too long.
Yeah, like the One Piece podcast. There's sometimes almost like 3-4 hours.
And those can be all right if it's a special occasion, but when they start to get 3 to 4 hours every week,
it's all right. I mean, like it gives me something to listen to at work.
I guess, yeah.
Like because I can listen the whole day.
Right. That's not bad.
Oh, and I forgot to say the part that was making me nuts when I was at the Bit Fest.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract us.
We're sitting having some beers. I had a lot of them, but before I blacked out, I was just kind of like looking, and there was somebody they had hooked up Zelda
to one of
the first
screens.
one to like a big projection screen.
Okay,
and the dude was playing. Some dude was playing it, and he was doing okay. But I noticed something weird that when in Legend of Zelda, there's like on the top of the screen says what you have for your A button and what you have for your B button, and you can change the one for your B button. I think. Or is it A button? Hold on. I think A button is sword.
Okay.
The sword button. You change the B button to something else.
Yeah.
But you can't change the sword. But it was weird. He didn't have the sword. Like that's the first thing you do in the game.
I know is
you go into that cave and.
That's about as far as I ever made it because I suck at video games.
Wow, that's quite an achievement. Da-na-na-na.
All right, so he doesn't have a sword.
He didn't have the sword, and he was trying to beat the game without the sword. And I'm like, that's crazy what you're trying to do, and I don't.
And he was doing it on purpose. This wasn't somebody like me who's just a schmuck. And
he knew where he had to know where everything was, like all the parts where you have to because he was killing things with the candle. Huh. Now you originally get the blue candle, and eventually you get the red candle.
Right.
Blue candle you can only use once per screen.
Yeah.
So you have to walk off and on a screen to use it again.
Right.
And so he had to find all the places where the rupees were because killing enemies is excessively difficult. So
with a candle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was just finding all the rupees and then getting bombs. And the trick is with the bomb, like there's a couple rooms and dungeons where you can't exit the room unless you kill all the enemies in the room. But if you only have the candle, you get stuck, so you have to make sure you have bombs before you go in that room. Okay. And you got to hope that the enemies get killed by those bombs because sometimes they just don't walk the right way. And then
sounds dicey.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is insane. Stop it.
Right. Yeah. Did you say anything to him?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was I was
you
drunk,
were drunk enough.
I was drunk enough that I was. Like,
why are you doing this?
Dude, stop it. You just go get the fucking sword. You can get the white sword now. You have like 5 heart containers.
I was kidding. I probably made it a little bit further in Zelda than that, but not much. I think we had the gold cartridge. That was a gold cartridge, right? Yeah. Were they all gold for Zelda 1?
Zelda, well, I think they re-released it and it wasn't gold.
Okay.
But that was like later. But like the original cart was gold, and same with Zelda 2.
Okay.
It was kind of a bummer when the one for the Super Nintendo came out and it wasn't gold.
It wasn't gold. Yeah. Did they do any special colors for those cartridges? Or was it just the way the cartridges were made?
Well, as far as the Super Nintendo carts? Yeah. I don't know. There was a couple that were... Killer Instinct, I remember, was black.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was a game, it was like a Spider-Man game called Maximum Carnage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Talk about a 90s character.
Yeah.
Fucking Carnage. I went to the comic book store yesterday and bought some comic book boxes.
Ooh.
Because I have about 2, maybe 3 boxes worth of comics that are not in boxes. They're stacked on top of my other comic book boxes, or they're in my old Boy Scout footlocker.
Oh.
And
I know your brother had a footlocker as well, and it was filled with pornography.
Mine was filled with pornography at one point, but long since...
I'm not even going to bring it up.
Yes, let's not bring it up. I who knows what the fuck was wrong with me last week? Okay, and with the whole gag about never like, it's just, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing for the bullshit of me never masturbating and of doing a whole episode about like how I don't watch porn, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you for apologizing.
So now I have all these comics around, and we've been trying to clean up our house, which we referenced during last week's episode. We didn't talk last week about the fact that, and I promise I'll shut up real quick, and we'll get back to talking about funny things. But now my brain doesn't want to stop. So we've been packing up parts of the house because we really need to get out of our house.
Yes.
I haven't said that anywhere publicly, but we need to get out of our house. By the fall time frame or somewhere around there, we're not going to be able to afford our mortgage anymore. Like, something's going to have to give. So we have plans in place, and we've been doing all this work, and this fucking realtor comes to our house yesterday, and the one thing that I hate more than anything else in the world is people wasting my goddamn time. And this fucking realtor comes in, and she obviously hasn't figured anything out. This is the second time she's been to our house. The first time she came through, she looked at everything, kind of got an idea of what was happening in the inside, took some notes, was supposed to go and do some research. Cool, fine, understandable. We've worked with 2 realtors. The other realtor, just sort of auditioning them. The other realtor came back within like a couple of days. She came fully prepared with like, these are some of the other properties. This is what they're going for. Yeah, you guys owe a little bit too much, but this is how we might do that. This woman comes. She spends a whole 15 minutes giving us the spiel on why we should hire her. And only then, after she's gone through 15 or 20 minutes, starts figuring out the math. There in front of us, right? Figures out that there's no way we can sell in her estimation, there's no way we can sell our house for what we owe for it. And she's just wasted 15 minutes of our time. She's wasted time coming to the house, made us feel like we were wasting time buying comic book boxes and packing up our house and getting rid of bookcases, and just fuck the fucking realtor. All right, I'm done. I bought a bunch of comic book boxes, and my office will be cleaner, even if I don't get to move out of my goddamn house that I feel terrible for ever having bought.
Hooray!
But I got some comic book boxes.
Yes.
They still make them.
Well, they still make comic books.
And they still make comic books, but you can't get rid of this shit. You really can't. Like, we've talked about that before.
But yeah, like, I was looking at the cards here.
All right, yes, cards, please.
The Ninja Turtle cards. And you can get a first series set in a collector's box, and it was like, how much was it? $20.
$20.
I'm like,
you probably spent like
at least that
on individual packs trying to get the whole thing. Yeah, and then you didn't.
Yeah, and then like, look at the gum stain on the back of the sticker card.
Ooh, yay!
Yeah. I ate that.
You did eat that. Look, while you were holding it up, I got to see the ingredients.
Oh God.
Dextrose, corn syrup, gum base. I don't know what that means. Softeners, natural and artificial flavors, artificial colors, and BHT to maintain freshness.
Well, the BHT didn't do its job anymore. Or I don't know. It was still like,
kind of did its job.
It disintegrated. It didn't turn into gum. It disintegrated in my mouth.
That just sounds lovely. That sounds like something we should all. I would just like my food to disintegrate in my mouth. Yeah. It would remind me less of the tooth I had to get extracted a couple of years ago.
What?
I had to get a tooth extracted a couple of years ago, and every single time I eat, I'm reminded of the fact that there's no tooth there, and it makes me mad. And I also get mad when I have to brush my teeth at the end of the night and I see that it's there. I sometimes scream at myself for having a missing tooth. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Right after I apologized
all
for
right,
venting,
Ranty McGee.
I did some more.
You're like me last week with the freaking woman in your plaza.
Yes.
Lovely woman.
Yeah. So
yeah, I definitely, like, I don't remember, I don't remember.
You don't remember leaving the bar?
Well, it wasn't a bar. It was
the brewery, right?
I don't remember leaving there. I don't remember walking back to the train station. I don't remember the train ride.
Yeah.
Back to the alewife. I don't remember the car ride back. I didn't drive. Just thought
I would hope
like
that would go without
emphasize that
saying
I
at this
did not
point, but,
drive
yeah.
in this situation. Then I don't remember coming home. I do remember, like, the first thing I remember was, like, it was 6 p.m.
6 p.m. last night.
And I looked, because I looked at that clock right there,
Yeah.
and I was like, holy crap, it's only 6. And then I went and laid down, and then ran like a bullet into the bathroom. Had some barfies.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've barfed.
It's it's not a feeling I enjoy. I was reading a short story.
I don't think people really like throwing up.
No, I don't think anybody does, but I'm downright terrified of it.
Why?
I don't know, but I feel like I have trained my body now to not throw up, and Stephanie thinks I'm really weird for this. So that, like, I will be in such a state of discomfort that, like, for any normal person, if I would just throw up, I would feel better.
Yeah.
But I'm so, like, it's such a thing about not throwing up that
It's weird because, like, you remember there was an episode of Seinfeld where, like, Jerry's like, I haven't thrown up in X amount of years.
that was me at one point.
And I was just like, I don't know how, like, well, being a person that occasionally drinks way too much.
Yeah, you don't know how you could possibly.
Yeah, how could you not? How could you have gone that long
without drinking?
Because like that's your body's way of saying you drank way too much.
Yeah,
we need to get rid of some of this before you die.
Yeah, no, I can think of pretty much all of the stomach viruses I've had over the last couple of years would have been so much better if I would just allow myself to.
Usually, like the last couple of stomach viruses I've gotten have been like the poopy kind. Like,
yeah, that's most of the ones I get are the poopy kind. But
there was one when I was back living up in Hudson. Like it was 2 days of shitting, and I was my poor bum, my poor bum.
Oh. Did you give it a present afterwards to make it feel better? I don't know what a present for a bum would be, but I mean, you know, your poor
like
bum.
a sandwich or some money for booze. Oh, that's a different kind of bum.
Some fiber, I don't know.
Fiber.
That
would make me poop more.
It would make you poop more, but it'd make the poop better, right?
I don't know. I put some salve on it.
Put some salve on it. On the poop or on the bum? I live to ask dumb questions.
I like not responding and just tilting my head like a dog that is not sure what you're saying, so he's trying to hear you better.
Earlier you mentioned, who was it that played Wario? When you guys Paul played Wario. So yesterday, and I think as long as I don't mention any identifying names, I can tell this story.
Sure.
Because I don't think any of the people involved are going to listen to this show.
Yeah, well, fuck them anyways.
Well, I was between classes, and
this is back in high school.
No, this is just yesterday. So I was no, not yesterday, Friday. So I was between classes, and I had one student who was speaking with me after class about comics and nerdy things, and another student I see who's in the next class comes in. Comes close to the doorway and then hangs back. And I don't mention anything to him because I know that look. Like, you see somebody in a room that you don't want to necessarily interact with. So he kind of like saw that this other kid was in the room, and he kind of just went a little bit further. And I was like, all right, I see. And I tried to wrap up.
I would have been such a dick. I'd be like, hey, so-and-so.
So I
that's where you and I differ.
I wrap up things with that student. He goes on his way. They must have passed each other in the hallway, but I didn't hear any sort of verbal interaction. So the student in the later class comes in, and he kind of confides in me.
Oh, jeez.
That amongst their group of friends, they travel in the same circles. These are two geeky guys. Both belong to a certain club on campus.
The anime club?
I'm not going to say, because on the off chance that somebody, they already know. If somebody's like, all right, they belong to the gaming club. All right,
which
they both.
Tabletop?
I think tabletop as opposed to video game.
Okay.
So they belong to the gaming club. One of them, the one in the later class, is a little bit older, younger,
but not much wiser.
And he confides in me that apparently, amongst their circle of friends, this other kid, I'm gonna have to come up with a fake name here.
Paul. Just call him Paul.
Yeah, we'll call him Paul. So Paul, the student in the later class, says that this younger kid amongst their circle of friends is known as Wa-Paul. Like as in Wario or Waluigi or whatever. They are very...
Oh, I thought it was like Wapple, like from One Piece.
No. Everything comes back to One Piece.
No, but there is a character called Wapple.
No, not Wapple. So, like, now I've just made everything much more complicated by making it Wa-Paul. So there's Paul and there's Wa-Paul.
He ate the munch fruit.
They have very similar tastes, but in the understanding of original Paul, the other one, it kind of has similar tastes, kind of by accident. Like he likes nice things, just by happenstance.
Okay.
So they all kind of think of this other kid, this Wa-Paul, as maybe kind of the evil or nega version of Nega, like negative.
Oh,
Jesus.
Jeez. I didn't realize that. Like, I thought maybe when we had the dad cast, eventually there would be some racist stuff happening, but like not from you.
Negative.
Oh, okay.
Wa-Paul.
We dodged a bullet there.
Oh, God.
Wapple.
Who is Wa-Steve? Have you ever met a guy who is kind of Wa-Steve?
Like a guy that wanted to be me?
Yeah, I mean, well, like the who's the Wario to?
I don't know if there was one. I don't think I was cool enough ever to have somebody want to be me.
Want to be you? Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to be very modest and say there isn't a person that wanted to be me.
I don't know. I don't think there's. I don't know. Would it be Wa-Chris or Wa-Earl or Wa-E? Wa-E.
Whirl.
Whirl. Maybe my dad is that me. He doesn't want to be me, but my dad has the mustache, which makes me think of.
He has a mustache now. I don't remember having a mustache.
Is it just is it a beard now? I don't know. My dad at times has rocked just the mustache.
I don't. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah. Okay. So
I haven't seen. I don't remember seeing him with just the mustache.
But my image of him from childhood is of just the mustache. A lot of times he had just the mustache, which makes me think of Mario and Wario and all of that. But. No Wa-Steve.
No Wa-Steve. Sorry.
Wa-Steve. That's all right.
What about this? So no Wa-Chris either?
I don't think there's a Wa-Chris. Not that I can...
So these kids, they're just like, they hate on this kid because...
I guess so. That's the impression that I get. He is kind of... he's a little socially awkward.
Does he have a...
He does not have a
villain mustache?
No, neither of them have a villain mustache. Although the original Paul, he has, if not a... Yeah, I guess he has a full beard. I was going to say maybe kind of like the college kid's stubble, like that kind of looks like a beard, but I think he has a full beard. Whereas Wa-Paul has no facial hair. So it's kind of no, it's not the opposite, because Wario and Mario both have a mustache.
They do.
Shit, I don't know.
A buddy of mine, not Brian that frequently emails us, but another Brian, he's very inept at growing facial hair, but I think they had that thing a couple of years, I guess people still do it in November. Where
Yeah,
they grow
Movember.
Call it Movember, and they grow a mustache in November.
They do.
And he just had this terrible, like very thin pedo stash after the whole month.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, that is the worst mustache
that is
ever.
pretty
And when
bad.
like December came out and he shaved it, I was like, no, that thing was my favorite.
I didn't grow facial hair for the longest time because, like, you know, physically I have a lot of characteristics that I share with my father, and maybe I've told this dumb story before, and personality wise, and I just didn't want to look like my dad. And then finally, sometime after college, I throughout college I shaved pretty persistently, but after college I finally.
I think you have a little bit better ability to grow facial hair than your brother does.
I think so. I have one patch underneath my chin that will not grow.
Yeah, I have like there's a weird doesn't connect well, so I couldn't really do a goatee if I wanted to, and I don't think I would ever want to.
Yeah, John, my brother John, he every time he's seen me the last couple of times with the facial hair, he said, "When are you going to do the Tony Stark?" And I'm like, "What?" Tony Stark. I think he wants to live vicariously through me and have me do like the Robert Downey Jr. Goatee / whatever. sometimes I think it's a beard, sometimes it's like a goatee and long sideburns. I don't know. I've looked at it and I said, I don't think I can do that because I got weird.
What is it, Paul? I remember one time Paul had these mutton chops.
I can't imagine Paul with
and I don't know why. I guess he just was just trying something out. He hadn't seen us in a while, and maybe he just forgot.
Will I can imagine with mutton chops for whatever reason, but Paul,
it was awesome. I loved it. I was like, you need to grow those back. I don't know if they were full on chops, but like they were. Yeah. He had some extended sideburns going on. But I'm like, weird. Dude, mutton chops. Get there.
That is odd.
I always like applaud people's bad facial hair choices.
Because you're not brave enough to make them yourself?
No, I don't know. I just like it when people like they grow a pedo stash or have a neck beard.
I hate the neck beard. I kind of it's a little bit. I need to shave. It kind of always goes. I don't know that I hate the neck beard, but I started hearing people make fun of neck beards.
Well, they just call unwashed nerds neck beards.
Yeah.
Like the people that everybody associates with Gamergate
they're referred to as neck beards.
Well, I don't know. Well, like that's the kind of people that the stereotype.
Somewhere ages and ages hence, will neck beards be associated with like Bluebeard and Blackbeard? Like, will they be that bad?
There's a Blackbeard in One Piece.
There's a Blackbeard in One Piece. Speaking of One Piece.
I want to hear your damn...
So you assigned me some homework.
To play a game.
Which
you apparently didn't like, because you won't tell me.
No, so here's what happened. All right. So I have my iPhone, and I think we recorded on Sunday last time, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
So at some point on Monday... after I've gotten Kaylee on the bus,
because New Hampshire doesn't get.
Yeah, they didn't. Some actually did, which was weird because I have friends who have kids in New Hampshire and they have the day off, but most don't. Yeah, so we had I got Kaylee on the bus, and at some point during my work day, I was like, "Shit, Steve gave me homework," so I downloaded it and I just sort of set it aside, so that in theory, I thought when I go to the bus. And usually, sometimes to get her off the bus, sometimes I get up there and her bus arrives right as I get up there, and sometimes it's like 20 or 30. I feel it's like 20 or 30 minutes.
Are you going to tell me you didn't play it?
No.
Oh.
So, all right. So the first hurdle in terms of me playing it, right, is that I get up to the bus stop and I open the game. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm going to play it. And it starts to want to download something, and it gives me a warning. It's like, please download please make sure that you're in an area with good internet connectivity, or else you may have data integrity problems. It's like, all right, I guess maybe a first launch thing. I was like, all right, so I'm trying to download it, and by the time it's Kaylee gets off the bus, it's still downloading stuff.
Yeah, it took forever initially. Yes.
So I get back home. And I'm starting to do the homework with her. I'm like, all right, so let's start this again. So I start it again, leave it there while I'm doing the homework so that it will download.
When you have Wi-Fi, right?
When I have Wi-Fi, yeah. Like that, get home, it'll be much easier. Not that the cell service is bad in my neck of the woods, but I was like, I think maybe it means Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
All right. So we do the homework. It's finished downloading. She grabs her iPad and she's playing with something. All right, finally, I'm going to play this game. And I start to play it, and I sit there, and this is just me sucking at video games. Like, I'm trying to tap. It says, tap when the arrows, or what's the mechanic?
Basically, when you click on a guy to have them initially attack, and then you click on the next guy when the words that are zooming in.
That's right. Yeah.
When they're almost at the center, if not at the center.
And I thought that's what I was doing, but every single time I would do it, and it would come back with the error message, like the sad, you didn't do it on time. It's like, I did it. What am I doing wrong? And I just got to a certain point where I was like, I'm tapping it, and it did that like a good few dozen times until the point where I was like, all right, I'm done, and I deleted it, and that was it.
What? Because you couldn't. Do you want me to show you after?
No, I don't have any patience for learning new things.
You tap it like you could tap it early. That's okay.
I thought that's what I was doing. I thought I tapped it early.
But you have to tap the next guy. You don't tap the same guy.
I don't know what I was doing. I couldn't do it, and my brain hurt, and I don't understand. It's too complicated. Also, there was a lot of tapping to get through the story.
Yes.
And I was just like,
I don't want to read this story.
I don't want to read stories. My job is to read stories all day long, sometimes written by students who don't seem like they're trying at all. And so I'm just like which actually, on the way over here, I had loaded up, I mentioned earlier that I had a whole bunch of podcasts. I ran out of podcasts, so I loaded up a whole bunch that people had been telling me about for months or years. And one of them was Welcome to Night Vale. Have you heard of that one?
No.
It's
it's I don't know
basically
why I said it that way, but no.
No, possibly with good reason, and I'll explain why. So it's kind of a fictional podcast that's told in the form of a news report from this town called Night Vale. So you've got the guy who's on the radio station doing the news report, and through the news report you get kind of either amusing or horrifying anecdotes or whatever. The whole opening of it was really promising. Like, it sounded like they've got all this cool stuff going on, and then they finally get into the actual episode proper, and the guy's voice is so fucking annoying that I was just like, I can't. I'm sitting here. I listened to like 10, 15 minutes of it, and I was like, I'm done. I can't. Maybe it's an acquired taste, but I don't have time to acquire the taste. Like, fuck off. Welcome to Night Vale. I'm done. And I was so excited. Like, they had some clever T-shirts that they had on sale. It sounds like such a phenomenon, such a thing I should like. I should like it. And the guy's voice is just fucking annoying. And
jeez,
I'm
done. You just have a lot of pent-up angst and aggression.
I do.
It's like, you can't play the damn One Piece game, which is just tapping the screen.
Oh. This morning,
you can't listen to a podcast that seems cool because you're annoying.
But I guarantee you.
Oh, there's something I want to talk about that
okay.
that I was brought up on. I think it was This American Life a couple of weeks ago, if not a month.
Yeah.
The term vocal fry. Are you familiar?
I am familiar, and this makes me fucking angry too.
Of course. Well,
sorry. Go ahead.
Now I guess it's younger women.
Younger
mostly.
women. This is a thing, and as a teacher of younger women, are
you trying to make sure that your daughters don't talk like that?
No. I think it's fucking insane that people are even... This is like another fucking manufactured controversy to make women feel fucking bad about themselves. And I hate it. I hate it.
All right.
It's so fucking... I'm listening to this and
people...
how does This American Life even give this... I mean, they treated it well. They did... I'll try to find the link and put it in the show notes. Even Ira Glass says, I guess I kind of do it.
Because it's like a whisper rasp.
Yeah, it's like a whisper. I don't like. Why should there be? And that episode was a very well done episode. I think it was also the one where they had a woman who was dealing with
harassment.
And she kind of like gets to know the guy who was harassing her.
Yeah.
And it's a really well done episode. But the bit about vocal fry, I asked somebody to explain it to me, and then I finally listened to that episode where they have an audio example of it. And this is a thing that we're making people feel bad about, that they speak a certain way.
Well, I think I don't know. I think it's a generational thing because
I guess
the people that are upset about it tend to be older people, and
right.
I think it's just like this is the way that the younger generation is talking, and we don't like it because it's
it's going to hurt women's chances of getting work or this. Like, people give, where I teach. There, I dropped it. I'm sorry.
I was there yesterday.
That
was near the bookstore.
Well, it's a women's college, or it was a women's college, and it's still predominantly female in terms of its breakdown, and maybe it's getting closer to 50-50.
Go ahead and give it to me.
What?
Break it down, down and take me through the night.
But so I work with a lot of young women. And I just anyway.
And they're all vocal frying, and
I'm going to get off my soapbox here. There are so many things in the world where people are trying to make women feel bad, especially younger women, feel bad about who they are, what they do, even unconsciously. And
let me just for a second.
Fucking vocal fry, man.
There's a million things that people do to bring everybody down.
There are.
So it's part of human nature, and it's just to try to make yourself feel better by making someone else feel worse.
Yeah.
So
to play equal opportunity, like one of the things I brought up in class on Friday was this, and I'll try to put the link in the show notes for this too. This list of story tropes, like things. Story trope bingo is what it was called, and it was all these things that you spot in like a science fiction story or a fantasy story, and all of them, these images were created by a woman, and they were all like just men suck, men suck, men suck. Like that was the underlying, especially white men suck. Like it was one of the underlying themes of all of the cards. And
it's
I think
true, right?
Some white men suck and enjoy it.
Oh Jesus.
But yeah, so I mean, on the other side of it, there's a lot of. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of people out there who like to make everyone feel bad about themselves,
and even groups that are trying to stand up for the rights of other people are also at the same time bringing other people down.
Yeah.
So
no.
So getting mad at the vocal fry people. I think it might just be a personal thing that some older people don't like the way that some younger people talk.
And I'm sure that their parents and grandparents didn't like the way that they talked either.
Yes, so I think it's more generational than anything else.
At any rate.
So stop yelling. Everything's going to be fine. We'll find a game for you to play that requires you to just like push a button and win. You can't lose.
My favorite game on iOS is a game called Cannibalt, and that is it's a platformer, side scroller, and the only control is it starts off with a guy running down a hallway, guy or gal.
Hot dog down a hallway.
Yep, just like that. It's not. They're not in a hot dog costume, but it's almost exactly the same.
They should put it. They should make a mod.
Cannibalt is just a guy running down a hallway and jumping over things. So the only thing you do is tap to jump, and then you have to jump over gaps in buildings while aliens are destroying the city. And the problem is you get faster the less, if you don't run into any obstacles, you keep running faster and faster and faster, which makes it harder to tap on time to make the jump. And it's exactly the kind of game that I like, because there's all I have to do is know when to tap.
Yeah, well, you didn't know when to tap on the One Piece game.
Well, I didn't say I was good at it, but there's not a whole bunch of story beforehand too, and there's no downloading of data just to play the game.
Well, it's a big game, and it basically follows the whole story of the series.
I gotta say that the
which is almost 700 chapters, almost 800 chapters.
Although getting through the story was like, oh come on, I just want to play the game. I enjoyed the story that was there while I was getting through it. The visuals, I was like, oh man, maybe after hearing Steve talk about it for 30 episodes, I should finally.
I can give you the first volume.
Maybe not.
That could be your homework.
Maybe
next week.
Okay, I was gonna say maybe not this week. I've got a ton of traveling I'm doing this week.
All right, so maybe next week I'll give you the first volume, and then you can read it.
But we're at the end. We're near the end of the episode.
Are we?
We were at 52:44.
Okay, let's bring up.
We've got
Foley artist work.
Yes, we've got an email.
From frequent emailer Brian.
From Brian.
Brian Sullivan.
Were you supposed to say his last name?
I don't know.
God damn it.
Do you have to beep that?
But
it's 53-ish.
53.
Right before 53.
53-ish. All right, I'm writing it down. But that was like a nice little jingle, and if I beep it...
It was something this guy Jeff I went to college would say whenever he saw Brian.
Okay. Yeah. I can't remember if we've said it.
Well, just try emailing him.
Of course he wrote the forward to a book, right?
Yes, so we had to say his full name. Don't worry about it.
All right.
So Brian Sullivan. There we go.
We got a little jingle that we've got whenever we get an email. All right. So let's break this down. I'll read a little bit of it, and maybe you hold up a hand or something, or you just
I can just talk.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Hi guys. Here's another long one. Use what you'd like. The discussion of tweeting episode length reminded me of a former colleague of mine who had the longest subject lines for his emails that I've ever encountered. It got to the point that a group of us would count the characters to see if his subjects could fit on Twitter. A few times he exceeded the 140 character limit, which is ridiculous, that you would do that without noticing.
Sometimes, like older people, they use the subject line as the email.
Yeah, I've seen. There was even a feature on Gmail back when I used the Gmail web interface where you could. It was like NT maybe for no text, something like that. Like you could put it in the email, and Gmail would treat it differently, so that a person could see they don't need to read the rest of the email. Everything is there in the subject line. But generally, it wasn't like a 140 character subject line. It was like a yes NT or whatever.
Oh, well, that's cool.
On another note,
Oh,
I feel for Chris's plight in the heating. When I first arrived in New Orleans, my landlord asked if I wanted to fix the floor heater in our apartment, to which I replied, "I'm from New England, I can handle the cold." Little did I know, it actually got relatively cold here, down to freezing while still being humid, and that the houses here are poorly constructed and have no insulation, which means when it's 45 outside, it's 50 inside, and when it's 30 outside, it's 35 inside. Winter was miserable until I got the floor heater fixed 4 years later.
well, he stuck to his guns for a while.
The one thing, us New Englanders, we're confident, maybe even overconfident.
I got my friggin' electric bill. Again, I have electric heat.
Yeah.
And this is just a studio.
It is just a studio.
My electric bill doubled this past month.
Well,
so I have it. I don't even have it on, but it's at 68 for some reason.
Well, it's a nice warm day outside.
Yeah. So
relatively.
Yeah, in comparison
for late February,
it's above freezing.
It is above freezing. Yeah. I didn't have the heater on in my car. Like my car was warm enough that
didn't feel like you needed to. Well, I imagine it was on the heat setting.
It was on the heat setting,
but you didn't have it on.
But in fact, there was one point at which it was so warm that I turned the heat setting to the middle. Yeah. This, back to Brian's email. This incidentally brings me to another point about Chris. I find it absolutely hilarious that you talk about your affinity for New Orleans and your guilt over not working all the time, which is only compounded by the fact that you don't drink that much. Moving to New Orleans from New England was a really weird transition. First off, the city is made for not working and seems to actively discourage hard work. I'm constantly making the joke that if you arrive on time for a meeting, you're 15 minutes early. The alcohol flows freely in this city. Every meeting has wine served. It is perfectly normal to get a pitcher of beer at lunch. You can buy alcohol any day of the week. You can drink in public, and you can even get daiquiris from a drive.
You didn't hear about that?
Daiquiris from a drive-through.
Yeah, but don't drink and drive, kids.
Friend of the show, Leo, can confirm this. That's a story. We need to get Leo back on to hear about daiquiris.
Well, he's in Africa right now.
Oh, okay. Man.
Or he might have come back, but then I think he's going to Baltimore because the dude can't stop traveling.
Brian has provided us a drive-through daiquiri video, which will be in the show notes. The video is generally accurate, except they usually do give you a straw in the cup. The trick, as it was explained to me, is that they leave the wrapper on top of the straw, and that makes it not an open container. Got it.
Was that why they give it to me like that? Give it to me like that. That's the show title.
That is the show. I think undeniably that is the show title.
Is that why they give your beverage to you in that fashion at a restaurant?
I would guess so, yeah.
In case you take it with you.
I find all this about New Orleans put together with your podcast persona a hilarious juxtaposition. And it's that part really isn't just my podcast persona, because I still have a full bottle of Midori Sour that my brother gave me for Christmas.
Well, it's not Midori Sour, but it's
Midori, yeah.
You drink the one that I gave you?
No, I still have most of that at my parents' house. I left one at my parents' house, one at my house, so I could have a drink either place. And I haven't had a drink since...
Not even during the Super Bowl. No. Oh, wait, no, you did it. You had one of my ciders.
I had one of your ciders during the Super Bowl, yeah. Since I haven't said it yet, Steve is correct again.
Yes!
This time about full frontal male nudity movies.
Of course I'm right about that.
This has been on the rise for a few years. Here's an article from 2011 about it. Chris needs to watch more movies.
You do. You need to have more fun.
I do need to watch more. I watched Divergent. That's the first one. Divergent last night.
What's that one?
It's another one of these post-apocalyptic Hunger Games ripoffs. And it made me really mad because, for whatever reason, Kaylee was asking questions, so I went to the Wikipedia page. I found the answer to her question, but in the process learned that the woman, Veronica Roth, who wrote these books, wrote the first one when she was a senior in college and sold the movie rights before she graduated.
Wow.
I guess I gotta go write post-apocalyptic fiction with a female protagonist who doesn't like to be classified.
I watched a movie this morning when I woke up from after. I didn't barf like this morning.
Right.
Like when I actually got up.
Yeah.
But I watched a documentary on Paul Williams,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why I just have a fascination with these like singer-songwriters that were sort of like in the background, but everybody kind of knows them, but they don't really know them.
Huh.
Like do you know who Paul Williams is?
I don't know who Paul Williams is.
Do you know the song "The Rainbow Connection" from the
do.
Muppet movie?
I do.
He wrote that song.
He wrote that song.
He wrote the theme from The Love Boat.
Oh wow.
He wrote like a shit ton of songs.
This was this on a streaming video service?
Yeah, it was on streaming video service. The one that's in red.
The red one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'll have to check that out. One of the movies, speaking of me needing to watch more movies, one of the movies that I have...
Oh, wait, hold on. I had one comment on it. I like Paul Williams. I think he's a nice guy. He's an interesting character. He's like been like 20 years sober or something like that.
Yeah.
But like the guy who chose to make the documentary made it a lot about himself.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that part.
That's one of the things that drives me nuts about certain documentary makers is when it becomes more... yes, your lens, you as the narrative voice can be good, but generally speaking,
but it depends on what kind of movie it is. I mean, like this, if this is a biopic, obviously you're going to want to just talk about that person and not like how much you're obsessed with that person and how you're annoying this person by filming them or whatever.
Just generally speaking.
But like a thing like Super Size Me, that works because he is the subject.
He is the subject. Yeah. Well, I mean he's not the subject, but he's the way.
He's the guinea pig of making the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what were you going to say? Sorry.
I think it's Inside Llewyn Davies. It was a movie the Coen brothers did like a year or two ago. Mm-hmm. And it's about singer-songwriters in the 50s. Oh. And that's the most recent one. But I've got this like 20 or 30 movie long list of movies that are just sitting in my iTunes waiting to be played. And that's not counting all the stuff that I've saved to the streaming video service with the red, that's the red one. Red logo. I was going to say red background, but now they have a red logo and a black background.
It's been white on my my PlayStation and on my Wii.
Oh,
white and red.
White and red. I have a black and red one. I don't know.
Black and tan.
Black and tan. Anyway, so I have a ton of movies. You're right, including Cabin in the Woods. I have sitting there waiting to be watched.
It's all right. I wasn't. It was definitely not what I was expecting. I was expecting an Evil Dead type.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it definitely throws you a curveball pretty early on.
Machete.
That's a great movie. I didn't see the second one though.
Anyway, I got a whole bunch that my brother got for Christmas over the last few years, and then he gave me the digital copy. So there's a bunch that come highly recommended from John Hollywood.
Is that his name now?
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, I always keep having to bring this back up, but like when he would call, because on that show when we were talking about how we were dicks when we were younger.
Yeah,
I'm still kind of, but not as much as I used to be. But when he would call up the simulated Itch Relief radio show on the college airwaves, WDJM 91.3.
I still remember my college radio station. How do you not remember yours?
It was 93. I think it was 91.3.
Ours was 89.7.
So yeah,
or 87.9. Oh fuck! I just screwed it up. 87.9. I inverted it.
Then it's fine. Whatever. Yeah. So yeah, he would call up and I would ask him a question.
Yeah.
And then I totally ripped this off from O&A, but I would ask him a question, then I'd hang up on him.
Yeah.
So he's talking. So he's still talking for a while, not realizing that we hung up until he hears the dial tone, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he calls back, and I'm like, "Sorry, we must have gotten disconnected. The line got disconnected. I don't know. It must have been you on a cell phone or something." So we talk for a little bit more, and then I do it again.
such a nice friend.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna wrap up rest of Brian's email. Finally, on the Ultimate Marvel used to be the place to go for awesome modern takes on the superhero genre. When Marvel launched the imprint in the early 2000s, it was designed to allow readers an accessible entry point to the comic book heroes. Absolutely right. If you've never read, I got years ago this huge hardcover version of Ultimate Spider-Man, which retells the whole like beginning days of Spider-Man, but from a just like you don't need to know jack shit about what's been going on the last 30 years, and it's just fun, and it's drawn by a guy who's got a fun sensibility, Mark Bagley, always one of my favorite artists.
Bagley.
So Brian is absolutely right. It was a sort of an accessible entry point. They did Ultimate X-Men, Spider-Man, the Avengers, which they called the Ultimates, and the Fantastic Four. Brian points out these were updated, a lot more edgy, and they were generally excellent. Marvel had great writers working on these projects and gave them freedom. It's a shame what happened to that universe. They started letting second and third rate writers make the stories, and the quality plummeted. He's absolutely right. The only one that stayed consistent was Ultimate Spider-Man, which I think Brian's going to get to in a second. The regular Marvel universe started to get more contemporary. This was around 2006 with the Civil War event, absolutely right again, which made the Ultimate universe irrelevant. Yes, so basically they learned what was working from their Ultimate line, they brought it over to the regular Marvel line, and then they had the problem of differentiation. They were both edgy, they were both had good writers, and then why do you have an Ultimate line? Dr. Brian, Jeff Loeb took over a lot of the writing for the Ultimate Universe, and everything went to total shit. I agree. Ultimate Spider-Man was the only book that kept its quality because Brian Michael Bendis stayed on as the writer for the entire run. But I hate BMB's writing, and he is the reason I don't read superhero books anymore. I also haven't seen any of the Marvel movies since Iron Man 2, although technically I slept through Thor.
I slept through Thor: The Dark World,
yeah.
So we're on the same boat, buddy.
You guys are not Thor fans. I understand a lot of people did not like Iron Man 2.
I liked Iron Man 2.
Avengers is a damn good movie. I'm going to say, Avengers is a damn good movie. Iron Man, I liked Iron Man 2 too.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3, I like kind of,
except
but
for the part where, like, spoilers, he was hanging out with his fucking kid.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, come on, what is this?
Although
shit?
I heard the strangest rumor. The other week, remember we talked about Spider-Man coming to the Marvel film universe.
Yeah,
there's like somebody just on a whim was like, what if we've already seen Peter Parker, and like maybe it was that little kid. I don't think so.
That wasn't New York, though.
I know it wasn't New York. It was like Kentucky or Tennessee, right? Same
I don't
difference.
remember, but it was some southern state.
Yeah. And the regular Marvel Spider-Man, back to Brian, did actually die a while ago. He's died a couple times. He got his mind switched with Doc Ock, which everyone thought was ridiculous at the time. Back to Brian, who then died of cancer with Peter Parker's mind still in his body. Apparently they retconned it or fixed it or brought Peter Parker back from the dead or some stupid shit like that. Like I said above, I hate superhero comics now, so I don't know the particulars. Particulars were, yes, he got replaced by Doc Ock. Everyone thought it was going to suck. And then apparently, I did not read the whole series, apparently it was one of the most brilliant Spider-Man runs of like the last 20 or 30 years. And they did bring Peter back, and now the people who thought that Doc Ock Peter was awesome are kind of pissed because they're like, regular Peter just ain't cutting it anymore. And that is the problem with superhero comics, is that they keep going round and round and doing the same story over and over again. To Brian's point, what made the Ultimate Universe so good was that because it was this thing off in a corner, they just let the stories play out. They did crazy shit. They killed Peter Parker off in the Ultimate Universe and kept him dead. And they introduced this guy, Miles Morales, who's half African American, half Latino, I think. They introduced him, and now there's a bunch of people last week when the Spider-Man news broke who want Miles to be the character. So the Ultimate Universe, like, although Brian is mostly right that it stayed shit, Ultimate Spider-Man was a thing that they just let kind of evolve, and that's something you can't do in regular superhero comics for the most part. They managed to do it here and there. There are a couple of really good ones. Hawkeye has been really good the last couple of years. in terms of superhero comics, and Black Widow is kind of cool right now.
Nice. It's Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson, yeah.
I can't make that noise.
You kind of made it.
Nah,
I think you did all right.
there was a song that we had, the TNS. It was called "There Goes a Hot One," and originally, I did because it was about this kid that would always be like, kind of looking at girls and being like,
There goes a hot one.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's where that song came from. I hate the original version. I can't listen to it, but the remake, the remix
song
that we did,
yeah,
is a lot better.
I was about to say Hobo, and I know it's Ape's Choice is the
Ape's Choice is the third one.
Is the third one.
But there's some
rumblings.
There's some rumblings. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned
for more TNS news.
I thought I was going to get through this play that I'm pitching in time for me to like take a stab at doing some crazy music stuff for my music project during RPM Challenge Month, which is this month. It's not going to happen, but I've got the music itch again a little bit myself, and yeah. The trouble is that I went in the more like serious direction kind of with my music, and I kind of wish I'd just gone in the silly direction because I don't have a ton of musical talent. I have enough to make songs, but if I'd just gone in the sort of like humorous direction, I would probably be making songs more often, because I would come up with a funny idea, make a song, and just be happy with it, as opposed to being like, it needs to be art, god damn it.
Yes. All right. Well, should we do plugs?
We should thank Brian for the email. And
thank you, Brian, for your email.
Anybody who wants to email us, they can email us at hot@clarkwoods.com.
You can be as long as Brian's, or shorter, or longer. Who cares? We like hearing from you. We will read it.
As long as you tell Steve that he is correct.
Yeah. If you tell me I'm right, that's double.
I mean, you can tell me that I'm wrong all you want. You can can they tell you that you're wrong in like a little way, and then tell you that
they can tell me I'm wrong, but I prefer to be told that I'm right.
Okay. You stand a better chance of getting read on the air
if you say that I'm right.
If you say that Steve is right.
So if you say that I'm wrong about a couple things, but just pick a couple things that I was right about.
I mean, everybody's right and wrong a little bit in their lives.
Yeah, I need a little validation from you fucking people.
So plugs. You can find me on the interwebs at ECC1977 on Twitter.
And I'm Tuesday is Loser. Tuesday is Loser on the Twitter.
Of course, clarkwoods.com/hot/30s, where you can find all the show notes for this episode, and where you can find the link to send us some money.
Yes, please do.
And I want to come back to the t-shirt thing, because I really want a t-shirt. I want a hot t-shirt.
Not like a different one. Like I told, Mike needs to get his ass on working on the Addams Family pinball machine idea.
Yeah,
but we would just have to get pictures of everybody.
Yeah.
Like you, me, Dan, I guess Brian, Leo, Matt.
All the people, yeah. I just want, one of the shows I listened to recently did a shirt. I did not get it in time. It was like a limited time offer. And I'm just like, I need some new, I don't need new t-shirts, but
Gina's emailed us as well.
Yeah. I need a t-shirt. That's what I think. I don't know. I have no idea how to end it, Steve.
Okay, well, it's over.
It's over. Is it over?
We can just cut it when I say it's over.
Or I could just cut it now.
Sure.